Oh, hi. It's Friday, December the 13th. Welcome back to my channel. It's a little bit different episode this time around. Usually I'm out walking in the farm fields, the roads and the farm fields, or the trails out back with Lucy, and I'm kind of just clearing my head a little bit and getting a few things off my chest and mind. And I was saying to somebody else that I think really it's just really good mental therapy for me more than anything else. And if you get something out of it, that's great too, but it gives me mental clarity. Just like some other things I've been doing, I think, in my life have been giving me mental clarity and been really good for me. Practices such as journaling, some of the readings I've been doing and so on too. But speaking of readings, it got me thinking that maybe be interested in seeing what some of the books are that I read or have read in the past. I know I always like hearing what other people are up to in terms of reading, or I like to stare at bookshelves. If I'm in another home, I'll often just kind of let my eyes wander over to see what's on the shelves. But right here you can see kind of a bit of the setup of one of the rooms in the house. We call this the casual room. I kind of back up here a little bit. You can see the Christmas tree is there, decorated up. And it's puzzle season coming into winter. So that's the second puzzle I started this year. It's the 1,000-piecer, picking away at that. And during the day is the best time to do it because the light is best. And I get lots of nice natural light in here. Nice Alex Colville print there. Bit of the setup over here with the vinyl. And you can see we're playing some Bob Dylan today. Looking forward to seeing the Bob Dylan movie coming out soon. And more vinyl down there. We spent a lot of time right here, actually. Just back that up a little bit. Just relaxing, having a coffee or glass of wine, quietly reading or picking away at something online. It's really quite comforting. And this is one of the bookshelves. And it's a nice high ceilinged room here. So this bookshelf works really well. Here, cast iron along the bottom and the sides, and the shelves are adjustable. So I've got a number of books here and just other things on display. I'll quickly give it a run through. And of course, horses are always present. And a few of the books I've read, a lot of the books I've read, and others, there's a few that I haven't. But I've always been interested in any kind of local history, community history, genealogy, things along that line. So I tend to pick those up if I see them. And I've got a lot of them downstairs. I'll get to those bookshelves perhaps too, but you can see a bunch of them right here. This is a 4-volume set, Tangled History, on the Bishop family. Bishop's probably most well known for Noggin's Corner, the farm market there. My great-grandmother was a bishop, actually, so I am connected through to them. And a lot of historic books here. And just other local ones. Devil's Half Acre is Kentville. One's on cemeteries. Mud Creek could be Wolfville. A number of books here on loyalists and planters. And local history books down in here too. I'm not going to go through them all. It just kind of gives you a sense. The Bills of Billtown. I grew up in Centerville, and I know a number of the Bills quite well. Some Irish genealogy there. I just read, actually, The Last Island. Really good book. It's on the Andaman Islands in the Indian Ocean, and specifically around North Sentinel Island, the indigenous peoples of there. And this 2-volume set I picked up at a used bookstore in Boston last December. We're down there. A little pricey, but really, really cool stuff. It's a historic, let's bring him down here for a second. Historic books. Loyalists of the American Revolution, biographical sketches, an historical essay, 2 volumes, 1864, and my Palmer line from my mother is listed in there, so that was what drew me to that. Rawdon and Douglas Townships, there's Suzanne's mother and her father. Her father's a lovely man, and I can tell her mother was a lovely woman too, a beautiful woman. You see where Suzanne gets her good looks from. And some more local, what I call local history books in here. A number of them of Mike Parker's, who is a distant relative. I've got my information right. And we're over here, Port Remembers, Kennard Street, which is pretty hard to come by, I think. Camp Aldershot, Aylesford, Burlington area. Hiking trails, books, of course, Hammond's Plains. This is but the Gates line. You find the Gates in this area too. More Loyalist books, genealogy, John Borden, Inglesville, Annapolis County, Baltzers. I do have a Baltzer line when I go back far enough. And then some other historical books down here, non-fictions. Churchill's Return of Great Powers was a good read. Story of Russia by Orlando Figes. Excellent read, an easy read too if you're looking for some information or to learn more about Russia. The Mill, with the Pictou Mill. The Wager, another really good read there. I haven't read Bloodlands or Peace to End All Peace yet. And some historical fiction over here. Con Eagleton's series on the Mongols. A number of Robert Harris. Robert Harris writes really good historical fiction. And the Vinyls. Some Irish historical fiction and some British monarchy historical information there. There's my brother and sister and I. That's from Roxbury, the old community. So I have some family connections there. And there's my dad and his dad. My father's a spitting image of his father, and then my great-grandfather. Some fantasy books, hard to tell, Lord of the Rings. I haven't read the Robin Hobb yet, but it comes highly recommended. Read the Brandon Sanderson series, haven't read these ones. I did read Dune, and Suzanne's Wheel of Time collection is up there. She's a huge fantasy fan, loves her Wheel of Time and Dune. And then a few in here that I haven't read yet, but I want to get to. Again, history. It gives you a pretty good sense of some of the things I have here. And there's my love. That's in Ireland. Oh, is that 2014 now, I think? That lake actually is colloquially called Guinness Lake. That's not too far outside of Dublin. And this is what I'm reading right now. Children of the Night, The Strange and Epic Story of Modern Romania. I think it's going to be a really good read. So yeah, so we sit here, magazines down there, some of my bird books. Slow Birding's a fun read. I just picked up the Amy Tan one, The Backyard Bird Chronicles. Looks like it'll be a lot of fun to read too. Just a quick sense there. And I walk through to the living room. And a couple of shelves in here, with books sprinkled amongst them. James Clavell, all the Shogun stuff. And what do we got up here? Oh, some more Eagleton. I haven't read those ones yet. Actually, I did read these ones. Lancelot and Camelot, those are good reads. Lynn Dayton, Cromwell. I had a lot of Bernard Cornwell's books. I read a lot of Bernard Cornwell, the whole series. Oh, shoot, what's it called now? The Kingdom series, and it made into I think it's a Netflix show anyway. And you know what? I actually got a little tired of them. I found it rather formulaic after a while. So when I did a lot of purging a year and a half or so ago, I got rid of a lot of books, including my Bernard Cornwell books. And I regretted getting rid of my series of his on King Arthur. So I got those back, and perhaps I'll read them again sometime. A lot of Ken Follett's. A lot of them I've read. There's a few I haven't yet. And a couple of fantasy series still to get to. And some Agatha Christie's down here. These are ones I picked up used. Actually, the Agatha Christie's are given to me by Mike. Thanks, Mike. And then more Ken Follett's and Con Eagleton's. And over to the side, we're up there in Ireland again. And a few on the to-read list. I got a lot on the to-read list. Stuart McBride, Scottish thriller, murder mystery, thriller, I guess. And I was really into Stuart McBride for quite a while. They're based in Aberdeen, Scotland. There's my mom and her sisters. There's my mother and father's wedding picture. And And I really enjoyed them for quite a while. Then I got kind of tired of it too. I found it got a little excessive in the goriness of it and the violence. Love Louise Penny. I've just got maybe 4 or so more to go to get caught up in her series where she is now. If you love a fun murder mystery, check out Louise Penny. And Peter May and Anne Cleves as well. So those are probably my 3 favorite murder mystery writers: Anne Cleves, Peter May, Louise Penny. The Peter May specifically, the ones that take place in Scotland, in the Hebrides Islands and so on. There's a couple others that are similar, have a similar feel to that. Can't quite get into his France series quite as much, or his ones take place in China. But he's really good. I find Anne Cleves as well at describing sense of place. You could really feel it, you could smell it, the place where he has his settings for his stories. And some odds and ends down here that I need to get to still. Oh, very quick. I'm trying to be quick on this so it's not too long, but yeah, just to give you a sense. And then that's our living space, of course. And perhaps I'll go downstairs and run through those shelves down there too. Just give me a minute. Okay, here I am downstairs in the basement. You might think, ooh, books in the basement, not a good idea. But this is the first time I've been in a home that's mine where the basement is wonderful, where it's as dry as the upstairs, and there's all kinds of space down here too. So really happy with that. So I got 3 shelves of books set up here. A few down here on the side, starting to run out of space. I've read a lot of Edward Rutherford. If you like James Michener, I've read a lot of James Michener too. You'll like Rutherford. Really good series there in Ireland. I loved his New York one too. A couple take place in England. A few Stephen Kings and other odds and ends. I do find it hard to get into Stephen King though. I know he's massively popular. And just up top, some of Suzanne's books here on equestrian training and so on. I read some of the Balkans, trying to prep for our trip to the Balkan area. I read some of it. As I said, I didn't get through it all. I found it quite difficult. A few other odds and ends. Autobiography of Malcolm X, one of my favorite books of all time. Book of Negroes. A few things to still get to here. And a few of the artists that I've really enjoyed and loved over the years. I haven't read Shane MacGowan one yet. I got that in Iceland, and Suzanne read it, but I read the Bruce Cockburn one. It was just okay, but I love the Geddy Lee one too. And this is more of what I call my local history section. I got some natural books there, and Holy Grail Across the Atlantic. And they used to be in order. They're not so much anymore. Some in New Brunswick, some books to deal with stamps and stamp collecting, and more local stuff here. This is one on Mount Hanley, Cambridge, a couple there in Colebrook, all kinds of Round Hill, Bear River. Yeah, it's just like Port George, Margaretville, all kinds of them. And sometimes I'll just flip through them and kind of get a sense of something, or I might look for something specific. Lunar Rogue, friend Dan gave that to me. Thanks, Dan. That was a fun read. It's kind of a Hants County section, but then it gets obliterated into Kings around, is that Melbourne Square? History of Greenwood around the square. Gaspereau, river runs through it. History of the village of Paradise. All the Kings County vignettes are there. West Viking, Farley Mowat. My father is a big Farley Mowat fan. More planner information, planner books, Acadie, We Were Not the Savages. This is an old neighbor of mine in Centerville, Jenny Rogers. She was a lovely lady and a great poet. So those are her poetry books. Book my aunt wrote about my grandmother. Lynching of Peter Wheeler, quite a good read. Some things on Oak Island. And Halifax street names and deaths and births and probates of Nova Scotians, yada, yada, yada. And binders of genealogical information and more coiled ones in here. I don't even know what these are anymore. Township books. Put it down here. Mount Rebecca Cemetery, Village of Walton, the Longley family, Loyalists. Across the bottom, more fantasy, and then we get into the James Michener, more Bernard Cornwell, and a Lonely Planet on Iceland, memories book that Mom made for us, John Palmer, Yorkshire Settlers, Mount Hanley, cemetery map of Kings County, some Annapolis Royal stuff, yeah. White Rock, Berwick, Leon Uris, another one of my favorite books of all time. Right there, Redemption. Michael Hobbs is quite good. More Con Eagleton. Ian Rankin. Yeah, read quite a bit of Ian Rankin. Scottish murder mystery. Edinburgh. P.D. James. And some more fantasy, a lot that I'd picked up at used bookstores. Some of those I bought new, but still sitting there waiting to be read. And Game of Thrones. I had read Game of Thrones before it was actually a thing, before it became a show, it became massively popular. I read the first 3 or 4 books and kind of got a little tired of it. I think I got to the third one. But I do want to go back and reread them sometime. And these are movies. This is some of Suzanne's collection. Sherlock, Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones. She's kind of a large Doctor Who fan. She has them all on DVD. These are a couple of books I picked up in the 25-cent bin at one of the grocery stores. One on Hannibal and one on the German Special Forces of World War II. And then more of Suzanne's through here. And Steve Barry. I've read some of Steve Barry. Sometimes it gets a little silly, but it is a light read if you're looking for something that's light and kind of fun. Giles Christian, good writer. Historical fiction, Norse, if you like kind of the exploits of the Norse, the Vikings. Wilbur Smith, and I read a ton of Wilbur Smith's, one of my brother's favorite authors. That's only some of them. I'd gotten rid of a lot of them when I did that purging. So just very quickly, an idea of what I still have. There are worse things to buy than books, I think. Yeah, a lot of them I haven't read, but they'll sit there. I remember hearing once the analogy, it's kind of like wine. Like you buy bottles of wine and, you let them sit for a while and figure out the best occasion, the best time to open them up. Well, maybe that's the same with a book, right? Because you're not always in the mood to read a certain book, but then there comes a time to say, yeah, I think I really want to check that out. All right. There you are. Hope you're enjoying your day, and hope you're enjoying your books. And coming into the winter season, we tend to hunker down a little bit more. It might be a time to pull out one that's sitting there. Maybe it's a big one, or maybe it's one you just thought about and haven't taken the time to do so yet. Enjoy your day, folks. We'll chat again soon.